and welcome to the first episode of your cherished program, Meet Your Governor. On this second day of the second month of the year 2020, the year of our Lord, I am Olu Popola, your anchor. And the guest, as usual, the Governor of Ekiti State and the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Dr. John Kaudi Fahimi. Your Excellency, you're welcome once again on the program.
Thank you, Olu. Thank you for having me, and good evening, viewers and listeners at home.
Also in the studio are my colleagues from Progress FM, Fọlọ́runṣọ́ Adébíyì.
Ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ ọlọ́lá jùlọ, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Ẹ̀yin tó wà nílé mo kí yín náà, ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́.
The other one from the Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State, Kọ́lá Òjó.
Akínkàbọ̀ ọlọ́lá gómìnà wa, a sì kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń wò wá tẹ̀sí gbọ́ wa lórí rédíò pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò bákan náà.
Don't forget, we are having the program live from the studios of the Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State, comprising 91.5 FM and EKTV Channel 45. And you can pick us clearly on Progress FM, Ayoba FM, Voice FM, and NTA, all in Ado Ekiti. And if you are in Ondo State, Adaba FM is the station to come to. A quick rundown of the rules of engagement on this program. 30 minutes is dedicated for journalists in the house to field their questions, after which we take phone calls and messages from you. And the number to call and send your messages are 081 65 999 807. Let me go through that one again. 081 65 999 807, and that is MTN line. The Glow line is 08 11 266 7901. Again, I'll take it. 081 12 66 7901. Your Excellency, once again, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And we'll start off on an issue that is that concerns us so much in the state, is the budget. There was the budget presentation last week of over 100 billion naira, which you believe is huge, and we know that you have laudable projects to make sure that you use this budget to feed. But there's a concern that where are you going to get funds to feed this budget?
Thank you. The budget has two parts to it. It has a revenue part and it has an expenditure part. And in the revenue part, there's an explanation of how we're going to raise the funds that would feed the expenditure part of the budget. I think there are 3 or 4 categories of revenue generation. There is what we get from Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, popularly known as FAC. There is what we generate internally in the state, known as IGR. There is what we get as support from our development partners, facilities from development partners, African Development Bank, the World Bank, and such similar entities. And there is money that we actually borrow to support the activities that have been outlined in the state. So when you match that against the expenditure that we have outlined in the budget, you can see the way our mind is working. But a budget is an estimate. It's not an actual expenditure. What we've done this time is that this is the first budget that we have that is IPSA defined. and IPSA is an international standard of accounting, which basically ensures that whatever we say we want to spend, we have it, and we can match the expenditure against what we have raised. And there's a recurrent part of the budget, which is the routine, regular expenditure, salaries and emoluments, first line charges, operations cost, vis-a-vis the capital, which really focus on some of the things you're already seeing. The infrastructure, I launched the road construction January 13th this past month, and if you go to those roads, you can see that work has already progressed on all of them, whether you're talking of Aramoko, Erinjin, or Ikogosi, or you go down to Isimbode, Omo, Agbado axis, or you go to Ilupeju, Ire, Igbemo, Ijon axis. All of those roads are ongoing within the 3 weeks that we've started work on them.
Yeah, Florence, still have a question on
lórí
budget.
ọ̀rọ̀ owó òṣùná náà ni tá a bá ní ká wo 100 mílíọ̀nù owó tó gá yàtà ni owó kì í ṣe owó kékeré ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sì máa wò yí pé ìṣúná kí làwọn nǹkan tó jẹ́ àkóónú ètò òṣùná fún tọdún yìí gangan láwọn ibi tí ẹ fẹ́ pẹ̀ka owó yìí sí fún àbá ìṣúná tọdún yìí.
Ṣé olóòtú nǹkan tá a sọ nígbà tí a lọ ka ètò ìṣúná ọdún yìí nílé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin ni pé ìṣúná tọdún yìí á dáwọ́ lórí pé àwọn nǹkan tí ó ṣe é fi ṣe àrítọ́ka sí ni a fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí, òun la ṣe pè ní bọ́jẹ̀tì of deliverable, bọ́jẹ̀tì jẹ́ pé nǹkan tí ó ṣe é fọwọ́ sí, tí ó ṣe é fọwọ́ kà ni nǹkan tíjọba fẹ́ dáwọ́ lé lórí kí a lè parí iṣẹ́ náà kí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wá lè rí ibi tí owó Èkìtì tó wọ̀, yálà nípa ọ̀nà o, àbí omi tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ tí gbogbo èèyàn ń rí o, àbí iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná ni o, àbí oúnjẹ àwọn ọmọ iléèwé ni o, àbí owó fáwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ni o, gbogbo ẹ̀ ni àti kó sínú ètò ìṣúná ti ọdún yìí. Kò dẹ̀ sí, ìyẹn ló jẹ́ kí alákòóso ètò ìṣúná kó báwọn oníwèé ìròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ níbi ijọ́ mẹ́ta sẹ́yìn sí láti gbé lẹ́sẹẹsẹ pé nǹkan báyìí ni ìjọba fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí. Àwọn nǹkan tó lè ti ń já àwọn èèyàn wá lọ́kàn fún ìgbà pípẹ́ ní àwọn nǹkan tí a fẹ́ dáwọ́lé lọ́dún yìí tá a fẹ́ ṣe. A dẹ̀ tún fẹ́ gbé àwọn iṣẹ́ kan tá a ti ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ tá a parí dé gẹ́gẹ́ kan ó lè múnádóko.
Ọlọ́lá gómìnà wa kí n lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé ẹ̀sìn jẹ́ ìlú. A rí pé ọ̀nà tí ẹ gbà láti gbé àbá ètò ìṣúná kalẹ̀ lọ́dún yìí ọ̀nà tó yàtọ̀ tó sì wúni lórí ni níbi ẹ ṣe lọ káàkiri lọ́dọ̀ àwọn ẹni ọ̀rọ̀ kan tí ẹ fi gbogbo kó tó di pé ẹ gbé kalẹ̀. Ní báyìí báwo lẹ ṣe ipa wo lẹ ń sà láti rí i pé ìjọba tó ń bọ̀ níwá lẹ́yìn yín ó mọlé àṣeyọrí rí láti máa fi kòlókò dámọ̀ràn pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹni ọ̀rọ̀ kan kí wọ́n tó gbé àbá ètò ìṣúná kalẹ̀ níwájú ilé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin.
Ẹ ṣé, kò sí bí a ṣe lè mọ̀la nǹkan tí a lè gbà ládùúrà tí a lè fi ṣiṣẹ́ ṣe náà ni pé ìjọba tó bá ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìjọba tó wà ní orí àlééfà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ wọ́n á lè rí àwọn nǹkan méjì mẹ́ta kan dìmú tí àwọn náà á lè lò nínú ìjọba tí wọ́n pàápàá jùlọ bí ibi tí bàtà bá ti ń tẹ àwọn aráàlú lẹ́sẹ̀ kó jẹ́ góńgó nǹkan tíjọba á ṣe fún wọn nínú ètò ìṣúná wọn. Èmi dẹ̀ lérò pé àdúrà wa ni pé ìjọba tí ó bá ń bọ̀ ní ẹ̀yìn ìjọba tó wà ń bẹ̀ lẹ́nu àwọn aráàlú náà wọ́n á béèrè fún ẹ̀tọ́ wọn pé bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ rí ìjọba ò kì í jáwàdé àwọn èèyàn ló gbéjọba síbẹ̀ tí àwọn aráàlú bá dẹ̀ fi tó wọn létí pé àwa náà fẹ́ nípìn nínú ètò ìṣúná yìí kì í ṣe pé ẹ̀kan sọ pé ẹ̀ ń náwó báyìí ẹ̀ ń ṣe báyìí ẹ̀ ń ṣe tọ̀hún àwọn oníwèé Gẹ̀ẹ́sì á sọ pé àhíamáàkì eléyìí, àwọn aráàlú náà lè sọ pé àwa fẹ́ àhíamáàkì tiwa, àhíamáàkì. Tó bá ń débẹ̀, ó yẹ kí gbogbo wa ká fi ìkòlùkù láti lè ṣètò ìṣúná ni, kò ń ṣe ètò ìṣúná gómìnà, ètò ìṣúná gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ni.
Yeah, Your Excellency, you made mention of infrastructural development the other time, and I want to ask, how crucial and committed are you to infrastructural development that you made mention of? We know that work is going on in Erodam and other places, but how committed are you to the development?
How committed? I'm spending the bulk of the resources that we have in the state on this initiative. It's a bit sad that some of them were abandoned in the course of my exit from the state. The resources that we're spending on the dams, particularly the two dams, Egbe and Ero, were supported by development partners. We got the money for Ero Dam rehabilitation, Ureje Dam rehabilitation, and the pipe works all the way from Ikun down to Ifaki to Ado, the rehabilitation of the pipe works, way back in 2014. That was when we got the money. But the work had not even started by the time I returned in 2018. So that work ought to have been completed. So it's a little strange that I'm still the one who came back to continue with the work. It's like the asphalt plant I just went to inspect a couple of days ago. We bought this asphalt plant in 2014. I had envisaged and hoped that my successor will see it as an added value to the rehabilitation and reconstruction of our roads in the state. But not until I came back did we really put this asphalt plant to use by getting the company that supplied it to come back and assemble and put it up for use for us. So infrastructure development is priority for us because Ekiti needs a lot of that. And water supply, pipe-borne water supply, is a human right, frankly, for me. Anyone who grew up in Ado Ekiti in the 70s, the 60s, the 70s, maybe even early part of the 80s, we had water from the pipe. So what then happened to us in the last 2-3 decades? That all these things have gone out of use, and we've now resorted to water tankers. I think we need to go back to those days when we can take water for granted and people can also live a responsible life, because there's a direct correlation between water and sanitation. Ekiti has one of the poorest open defecation record in Nigeria, and it's partly a function of lack of water, partly a function of the way our people take their hygiene these days. And we owe a duty to ensure that we have a healthy and safe environment for our populace. That's why water supply is critical to us. That's why electricity is critical, and that is why road construction into our various communities is very critical. So what we're doing now is actually a tip of the iceberg. We have virtually every community will be touched by the road construction in the next year.
Tẹ́tẹ̀ débi ìrúbà lásìkò ní ọ̀hún ọlọ́lá jùlọ torí tá a bá ní ká wo àwọn ìbéèrè tó ń bẹ lọ́wọ́ àwọn oníròyìn ilẹ̀kùn ilẹ̀ ya. Ẹ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìgbésẹ̀ kan látọdún tó kọjá lórí ètò ìgbanisíṣẹ́ lájọsùn bẹ́ẹ̀ àti nílé iṣẹ́ ìjọba. Ẹ̀rù sì ń bọ̀tọ̀ ọ̀kùnlú wọn yọ́ lọ bí òrí. Àwọn tí wọ́n ṣètò ìdánwò fún gbà náà wọ́n dàbí ẹni pé ominú bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí kọgi àdárọ̀ wọn. Igi àdárọ̀ náà ń kọminú olóko, ìgbò oníṣẹ́ wọn bẹ̀rẹ̀.
Kò sí ìdí kankan tó fi yẹ kí nǹkan kan kan wọ́n lóminú. Kò sẹ́ni tí ó lọ́ mi lọ́wọ́ láti polongo iṣẹ́ fún àwọn tí wọ́n ní ìwé ẹ̀rí láti lè ṣiṣẹ́ ní yálà iṣẹ́ tíṣà o àbí iṣẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ ìjọba o, gbogbo ẹ̀ ní ó létò. A sì ti ṣèdánwò. Ètò èsì ìdánwò ó ti jáde kí àwọn tí wọ́n mú fún iṣẹ́ kan ní sùúrù. Iṣẹ́ wọn ń bọ̀ lọ́nà pẹ̀sẹ̀pẹ̀sẹ̀.
ẹ ṣeun àdúpẹ́.
ọlọ́lá wa lára àwọn iṣẹ́ àkànṣe tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ nípìnlẹ̀ Èkìtì náà ni ọjà ọba léyìí tí ẹ̀ ń ṣiṣẹ́ lé lọ́wọ́ lórí. mo fẹ́ béèrè nígbà báwo ni ó ti yá tàbí pẹ́ tó tí ọjà yóò di ṣíṣí fún lílo àwọn aráàlú.
Ká tó dé oṣù kẹfà ọdún táwọn náà yóò pẹ́ jù, ọjà ọba ti máa ṣetán fún lílo àwọn aráàlú. Iṣẹ́ tó wà ń bẹ̀ ń sìn iṣẹ́ agbègbè níta ni, bí wọ́n ṣe máa ṣiṣẹ́ táìlì ibẹ̀, a ṣe ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ fún àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ̀ ní ìta. Àmọ́ iṣẹ́ inú ilé ó ti fẹ́ parí. Mo rò pé wọ́n ń ṣe táìlì ẹ̀ nínú ilé náà lọ́wọ́ ni. Ká tó rí oṣù kẹfà ọdún yìí, gbogbo ẹ̀ á ti di lílò.
ẹ ṣeun ọlọ́lá jùlọ.
Before that, let me quickly ask this, still on workers issue. And I know you've responded to the issue of recruitment of workers, but recently, EXU and EXU witnessed mass sack almost at the same period last year, which left people wondering whether the romance with workers has ended. Can you shed more light on this, sir, and perhaps allay the fears of workers in other state parastatals?
I don't know what you mean by romance with workers ending. I have been very clear about my attitude to supporting our workers and ensuring that those who have not committed any offense, who have no issues, have nothing to fear. People always mix up things. I am not, yes, I'm the visitor of Ekiti State University. I am the visitor of the other tertiary institutions. But we ought to be able to make a distinction between my role as a visitor and my role as an enforcer of what transpires in the university. I did not recruit anybody to the university, so I have no capacity to sack anyone from the university. However, I am aware that a white paper came out of the visitation panel that I set up when I became governor. And the visitation panel is a routine thing in universities and tertiary institutions, not just in Ekiti, but all over. One of the conclusions of the visitation panel, chaired by Professor Ashubiojo, I think it's Ashubiojo from University of Ife, but it's an Ekiti professor from Ilawi. One of the conclusions was that part of the recruitment exercise that took place in EXU between 2016 and 2017 did not follow due process. And that white paper, that decision panel report recommended a revisit of that process. All that we did in the State Executive Council of Ekiti State was to ratify that decision that the governing council has the right and the powers to revisit those particular recruitments. And I think that's what they did. Basically by asking for how that process was conducted and also asking for qualifications that people claim that they have had. And I believe that was what led to what eventually happened. But from the information available to me, out of maybe around 1,000 people that were affected, almost 400 of them have been recalled because they've now provided evidence of being appropriately recruited and having certificates, and on the basis of that, the same governing council that has the powers, I've called them back to work. So you can see that Ekiti State really has, as a government, we have no role beyond our broad responsibilities for these institutions. We don't micromanage the institutions. We don't nitpick and decide who should stay in this department. I don't even have any clue as to who was recruited or not recruited, or who was sacked or not sacked. That's the business of the governing council, and I believe there is something called university autonomy. I cannot be dabbling into what is going on in the university. It is entirely up to the university to decide how to run their show. And I think the same applies to the Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital. And I think in their own case, a lot of it has been exaggerated, because to the best of my knowledge, I don't think what's happened there is in any way similar to what happened at EXU. As for the general workers in Ekiti, what is the basis of the fair? We're actually recruiting people into service rather than sacking anyone. There's nobody who can claim that he or she has been sacked unless the set of people who were improperly recruited when I came into office in 2018.
Yeah, but Folonsho,
And
before you have the floor, let's quickly go on the break. When we come back from the
Order,
break, I'll
order.
give the floor to you.
Order.